What Hizmet is doing here is, in my opinion, is very beautiful. What they are doing, that they are not creating the authority of clergy, but they are saying what are the moral principles on which Islam wants to build a society and community. My name is Inamul Haq, and as you can see from my physical features that I am from South Asia, specifically from the country of Pakistan. That is where I was born and raised, and I received my education in various religious institutions and at the University of Karachi and at International Islamic University in Islamabad. I came to United States in 1982 and I taught introductory courses at Bernadine, at UIC, at Loyola, and currently my main job is at Elmhurst College, where I teach courses on Islam, and I am also Muslim co-chaplain, and I also work with Niebuhr Center for Faith and Action, which is our institute for social work and interfaith work. As I came to know Hizmet and its work about, say, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I was very impressed with the quality of the people who were involved in the mission and the direction of the work, that they really had an approach towards Muslim community, Turkish community, and in general broader human society, which was very positive and which was very future oriented. Rather than being focused on the past and being the prisoners of past, which many Muslim societies are, they were using past only as a learning experience, and they were really focusing on the future. So it was actually encounter with members of Hizmet which really impressed me. I am a kind of person who did not see Hizmet as a tree, but I did see the fruit, and I believed that only a good tree can produce a good fruit. And without getting into ideological conflicts and discussions, what is right, what is wrong, and who is criticizing on what ground, you cannot miss the point that what is being delivered, through a network of educational institutions, through a network of charitable organization, a network of interfaith activities, building relationship with all kind of people. Even when you are in a conflicting situations, you are very careful not to be bogged down by the conflict, but look what is the silver line there that you can move forward. I would say that Sheikh Gulen, Fethullah Gulen, may God give him health and may God give him very long life, is really a very remarkable person of our age and time. He is not seeking anything personally. Now what does it mean? Are we all not working for our own self? This is all we are working for our own self. But you have someone who is not working for his own self. So what it means that he is looking at things way beyond his own personality. Who am I, or what I will get, or what I cannot get, and what people can give me and what they cannot give me. So he is a person, in my opinion, who truly transcends himself. Truly transcends himself and sees the good. In my opinion, he is really a very rare leader. You don't find that kind of people. And I really wish if we had this kind of people in other parts of the Muslim world. If we had these kind of people in Pakistan, in Egypt, in Morocco, in Algeria, then today we would have been in a much, much better position. Because we really did not have people with this vision of universal good. His thought and his work is not properly understood. Therefore, I see sometimes he will receive criticism even from many religious sources. Okay? Many religious sources, they'll criticize him and they will think as he is compromising in Islam in some ways. Okay? And they do not understand the wisdom with which he is operating. He is not compromising. He is going to the core. He is getting out of the shell, externalities. He is going to the core. He is not compromising. So, and he, what Prophet ﷺ says, that what you can achieve with peace, gentleness, and love, you cannot achieve with war, power, and conflict. And that is exactly what he is doing, and this is exactly what he believes. He is putting Islam at the center of humanity. And he's saying, to be a good Muslim means to be good human. If you are not a good human, you are not a good Muslim. If your neighbor is not safe from you, you are not a good Muslim. If you are not a mercy and love for your neighbor, you are not a good Muslim. So he has really placed Islam from its narrow sectarian parochial outlooks which we have in parts of the Muslim world. He puts it at the center of humanity and says this is what Islam is. The Prophet says that there are people of God that they come so close to God through their virtue and goodness and good deed that God says that ultimately I become his hand, that he works through my hand. I become his legs, he walks through my leg. I become his tongue, that he speaks through my tongue. And what Prophet is telling us here, the ultimate human potential, which is God has ingrained in human self. In another hadith, Prophet ﷺ said that be very careful of a believer's intelligence. اتقوا فراسة المؤمن فإنه ينظر بنور الله, because he is seeing at things in the light of God. He is looking at things in the light of God. So if he is looking at things in the light of God, then he is looking what is right. He is seeing what others do not see. So I think that Gulen represents our classical Islamic tradition in which knowledge and virtue were one and the same. So here Shaykh Gulen will create a proper balance between knowledge and virtue, knowledge and character, knowledge and belief, material progress and spirituality. So one is that his contribution is knowledge, and knowledge in its broad, total sense, not in small, fragmented sense. Okay? That I should say knowledge means only knowledge of Quran and Hadith. Now I am a quote-unquote alim, but I don't understand how the world is running. So I am left behind and the world is moving. Okay? That is the concept of knowledge in some religious madrasas in our countries. On the other hand, there is this obsession with scientific knowledge where a person wants to be a great physicist, okay, expert in chemistry and genetics and all that. But his vision is narrow and he does not understand reality in the broader sense. Okay? So that is, I think, his very important contribution, and to some degree it comes down into the educational system also, where you place very high value on sciences but equally strong value on character and belief and value system. The relationship between religion and politics is very complex and very, very problematic in many Muslim societies. What Hizmet is doing here is, in my opinion, is very beautiful. What they are doing, that they are not creating the authority of clergy, but they are saying what are the moral principles on which Islam wants to build a society and community. So they say we stand for the principle. Okay? We stand for an honest government in which there is no corruption. There are no thieves. Okay? There are no people looting people's resources and taking to their own advantage. This is Islam for us, and this is, we stand for it. We don't want this mullah to be the prime minister, this clergy to be the interior minister, this government to dictate. This is not what we want. But we are saying that here is what Islam teaches, and what it teaches is not Muslim, it is universal moral value, that all decent human beings will agree with that. So I think what Hizmet is doing, that instead of creating a rule of clergy, Hizmet is saying, why don't we come to the principles? What are the principles of governance? What is good governance? What does Quran say on that? What does Prophet say on that? What does the humanity says? The humanity which always dealt with the issue of good governance, with the issue of best form of government, with the issue of citizenship and human right. Why not we create the set of these values and we stick to these values, rather than creating power of individuals? And of course some people are not comfortable with that. And like any other society, Hizmet will feel this challenge, Turkish society will feel this challenge, because politics is inherently corrupting. Some people are trying to develop a conflict between Hizmet as a movement and a Turkish state. But in my opinion, Hizmet has been a great asset for Turkish state. It will be very foolish for Turkish state that if they do not realize the value of Hizmet, because first of all, Hizmet is doing what a state is supposed to do. Okay? It is the function of state to provide excellent education. It is the function of state to lift the lower segments of society. It is the function of state to offer an honest, clear, non-biased opinions, information, education, all, So the thing is that what Hizmet is doing is lifting overall Turkish society, and then in a broader way to Muslim and a human society.
So the interfaith dialogue that Imam Fethullah Gulen promotes and encourages the Hizmet movement to establish, I think, is an important aspect of how intellectual growth can be expanded, how spiritual growth for human beings can be enlightened.
Hizmet has adopted an approach of values rather than identities and slogans. And it invites people to come to those values rather than to identities, because identities will create conflict.